you know, KPIs are incredibly valuable tools to manage a business and to help a business grow, but ultimately they are only as valuable as the action you take based on what those KPIs are telling you. And so I just want to emphasize, we see a lot of organizations that are focused on dashboarding and KPIs and monitoring and tracking. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if it stays at the executive level, if that doesn't penetrate down through the organization and drive action and behavior change, ultimately they don't provide much value. And I think the one other thing that I will say is like, you can track so much in this day and age, the age of AI, the age of EMRs, the age of all, the technology that we have, you can track everything. But if you try to track everything, you're tracking nothing. And so I think another thing that I would say, and I recommend to our facility partners really is identify a small number of metrics that really drive your business outcomes and just relentlessly focus on that small set of key drivers. Because if you try to do too much with KPIs, it'll end up just all sort of getting washed away.
So true. Thank you so much.
Can I comment on?
Yeah, sure.
I have something on both of those questions. I'm getting better at this. Bear with me. I think from a KPI perspective, I'm the guy that you're mentioning. I wake up every morning to a report in my inbox. I see what our census is, what our census was yesterday. I see how much money we projected to make yesterday, how much money we actually made yesterday. And I see that across every level of care in each of our facilities. The thing, and I agree 1000%, you will live and die by your KPIs. If you do that, you'll be incredibly stressed out and you won't be able to focus on the things that matter. That being said, what we've done, I think, a little different with how we look at our data on a daily basis is, in addition to just looking at the single day data, would we do yesterday, would we do the previous day? And it's a 30-day chart that we could look at one time, so you see the full picture. But we also have averages on the bottom, right? And that's really what our KPIs are, is your average daily census and what you're expected to make over the course of a month and things like that. And that's how we take the temperature of how we're doing. You can't live and die by yesterday's numbers. You'll go absolutely out of your mind. But you should be able to look at it, general KPIs, and see, how are we doing? How are we doing over the past 30 days? How are we doing over the past 60 days? Are we on track? And at any time, you should be able to have insight and access to that. And if you don't, get it. It's important and it'll help a lot. As far as when you're ready to scale, I think that's such a crucial and important question. And if you're in this industry, you've probably come across some really well put together decks from coming out of fancy brokerage shops that are really telling the story of really impressive platforms that are worth a ton of money at a 14 multiple of pretend EBITDA that screwed up big time. And if you understand the business, you understand that, that's full of crap and there's absolutely nothing left. And if you read between the lines, you could understand where they went wrong. And more often than not, they went wrong because they grew too fast. We shouldn't, in real estate, there's a terminology, grave dancers, and it's kind of when you get the opportunity to dance on other people's mistakes. We shouldn't live in that schadenfreude, but I think one that's obvious without me pointing fingers is Landmark. And I think we should look at Landmark as a case study of what not to do. So that's what not to do. When do you grow? To me, you grow when two things happen. First of all, stabilization, right? If you haven't figured it out yet, don't keep doing it. Figure it out. That's first of all. Second of all, I think, and crucially, this is incredibly important, is when you have the right team in place. Maybe you've figured it out how to do one or two, but at some point and this is to your point that you mentioned earlier, you are not going to be able to do it all. If you have a team that in your gut feels aligned with your mission, but not only aligned with your mission, they're also smart and can see past. Let's say you have the vision to be able to see from 1 to 20, but they could see from 20 to 30. That's what you need. You need people in the room that could see past just your vision, be able to implement your vision, and also, crucially important, will challenge you and challenge your assumptions. I think when you have that, you're ready to grow.